On paper, I look like a 10. My body, my routine, and my discipline were dialed in. But when my head hit the pillow at night, I felt like a 6, maybe even a 4 or less. And that weighed me down. And if that gap makes sense to you, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what was driving it and how it all changed for me. Let me paint a picture for you. Back in 2018, 2019, I was in a rough state. At that point, I'd put in probably 8,000 hours in front of the screen playing video games. I hadn't understood how I could gamify my life yet, and I was truly the definition of wasting my precious hours. You can relate if you've either been in the same shoes or maybe you're still doing some of the same bullshit right now. But it was who I was in an unfiltered version. Screens, video game, porn, junk food, vices, staying up too late, sleeping in too long, you name it. I was doing it. And I was stuck in this pattern of repetition that felt like it just couldn't stop. I had been broken up with from a previous girlfriend, and it was weighing me down all through COVID. Here we were thinking 2020 was going to be hindsight and everything's behind me and new vision going forward. Well, it was a wake-up call, that's for sure. I was in the worst shape of my life coming out of that, the craziest haircut ever, and not even proud of the man that was staring back at me in the mirror. And I knew I had to change. I knew the vices had to go. I at least had to start cutting them out one by one because that version of me didn't align with who I wanted to become in this process. Back in high school, I even got moved to the back of the class before because me and my friend were always talking shit and bugging each other because we didn't care about math. We knew we wanted something bigger than that. And when I got moved to the back, I couldn't see the board. Next thing you know, I'm getting the glasses on. I'm feeling like I'm a nerd. This self-image is weighing me down. So you label the vices with this extra pressure of things weighing down on your shoulders, and life starts to get hard for you in your own mind. This is all about our own perception of it, right? The main thing is I couldn't keep my word to myself. I no longer knew who I was. I no longer knew what my purpose was. All I knew is I was just waking up every single day and doing the same bullshit over and over and over again. And nothing was going to change unless I changed it. If you're a man who's hiding the same things, this message is exactly for you. Because if you don't fix this shit right now, it affects all of your relationships with other people and your relationship with your own self-love moving forward from today onwards. In 2021, I decided I'm finally going to take things to the next level. I got my best friend involved. I said, we're going to the gym. I walked in there. I put my wallet on the counter. I said, you know what? I want to sign up for personal training. I want to get in shape. I'm ready to take this action. I had the money saved up. I was committed. I was motivated. And they said, okay, I think we got somebody in mind that would be a good fit for you. Follow me into the office. So we went into the office, sat down, waiting in there for 5 minutes. And my friend and I are saying, I wonder who it's going to be. I wonder who it's going to be, right? This trainer is probably going to train both of us. I wonder if he's just going to be the best person we could ever imagine and fire us up, or who's it going to be? Next thing you know, the guy who walks in is the exact same dude who my first girlfriend left me for and dated directly after me. Can you believe that? I personally was so shocked. I was almost in disbelief. Whatever he started to say to me just phased out. But I will respect him for one thing. It was right away when he walked into the room. He said, let's just get rid of the elephant in the room here. Obviously, we know of each other from the past. Just know there's no bad blood on my end. And if you're willing to make this happen and make this work and you're committed, I am too from that trainer position. And I gained some respect for him out of that. You know, it's not easy to take on that level of responsibility right off the bat. But he stepped into his shoes. I signed the papers. I stepped into mine. And next thing you know, we had both been dumped by the same woman, but we were on this 12-week plan of he was holding me accountable and I was pushing myself to new levels. And this story is unforgettable since it really shaped me into who I was at such an early stage. Most people don't have the opportunity to say they've gone through a wild experience like that, but I knew this was a make or break moment for me. If this was going to stop me, if I was going to let an old story hold on to my power, my belief, I knew I was already fucked. So I had to step into the most amount of man I could muster up, sign those papers, and commit. The next 12 weeks, I'm going to begin to change my life. And it started from that external validation stage, you know, walking into the gym. And whenever him and I wouldn't have our lessons, I still had to go. I was afraid of what other people would think of me. I was afraid that I was taking up too much space. I was afraid of making a mistake in there and looking like an idiot. When in reality, everybody in the gym is just obsessed with looking at themselves. And you learn that over time, but at the beginning, that was all on my mind. So one of many things I had to step through, but that first hurdle back in 2021 really began to shift my trajectory towards being in the driver's seat of my own life and taking control of what I knew I could handle. You know, if you run your own thing, business-wise, the revenue looks fine. The outside looks handled, but you still close the laptop at night feeling like something is just off, that you can't really say out loud to anyone. And you already know that the gym was never really about going to the gym. You know that cutting out the junk food wasn't about getting healthier. Keep going with this stuff, because the next version of you who steps in with those habits, that's who really shows up as the best founder for their business, the best individual for their partner, the best friend to their best friend, the best son to their mother. You know what I mean? Show up with this energy everywhere in your life, and you're qualified to become the best version of you. It was a lonely grind, showing up day in, day out, and once those 12 weeks finished and I had gotten a taste of it, I said, you know what, no need to renew these, man. I'm going to commit the next X amount of months. Unbeknownst to me, it would take months to just working out by myself, dedicated to my vision and growing my shell, growing into a man that I was proud of looking back in the mirror, which it wasn't always like. So I had to show up alone. I had to show up by myself, regardless of how I felt on any given day, hit the treadmill, hit the bench press, and just commit to changing my physical state, knowing it was going to alter my internal state as well. I was building the body, I was strengthening the mind, I was chasing a vision that I couldn't see yet, the true shape of it, but I knew I was heading in the right direction. And that's what I want you guys to start to imagine as well. What does this look like when you're going in a similar direction? And not to mention, the whole time at that point specifically, my dad had already been diagnosed and been battling cancer for almost 4 years at that point already. Come spring 2022, he was really starting to show signs of deterioration, and his mind was no longer where it used to be. So I knew I had to keep strengthening myself to be the man that he's proud of and be the provider for when he's gone. For my mom, I knew I was stepping into this role, and it was a lonely grind, right? I had the odd friend I was making at a restaurant. I had a best friend and I got into turmoil and stopped speaking. I was changing belief patterns. I was shifting out of my old identity, and I was pretty ruthless with who I was becoming. And only certain people could fit in to that category moving forward. In July 2024, I was still 23. I had been visiting my dad now in hospice for multiple months now, around once a week, twice a week. I'd go play baseball with the baseball team. At this point, I've built the body I'm proud of. I've been in and out of a couple relationships. I've found a girl I'm really proud of. And the one time she was able to come and visit him, he was barely even mentally there. He was so out of it at that point. And an opportunity came up to go camping with some friends on an island. And I just needed that release. I just needed the break because everything was starting to weigh down on me again. I felt that same fucking weight I felt back in 2021 walking into the gym. This is a changing moment for me. I knew I had to go on this trip. And one night we're there, I believe it was the first or second night of the camping trip, just finished setting up my tent. We just finished eating dinner and I get the call and I answer it, and it's just my aunt crying. And she says, you know, your father's passed on, but he was in good hands and we're all praying for him. And I'm holding your mom, she's crying. And I was just silent, like I was sinking it in, like it didn't feel real, but at that moment it felt like a piece of me had left me forever. It felt like that grief would crush me. It was a 6-year deterioration, but it was almost like just prolonging the inevitable. And you feel for him and people feel for us and what we went through. But there was a decision I had to make. And my decision was I was going to fucking stand in that grief. When I sat down, I was going to sit in that grief and dedicate my life to him, dedicate my life to making him proud, becoming the provider, getting mom taken care of, start changing other people in the process and coaching others just like he coached me, because I knew I had to make something bigger out of my life. I was done fucking wasting time. And I hope you're starting to realize that if you've been wasting time up until this point as well, it all comes back to you. This is you versus you here. And if it's in your control, You need to take advantage of it, especially at these prime years. Even if you're in your 30s and you've got it figured out. I changed the gym, the routine, the diet, the friends, the city. I moved all the way across the world to New Zealand with my girlfriend. But the same version of me was still in the driver's seat making the calls. That is why nothing stuck until it did. If you've changed everything on the outside and you still feel stuck on the inside, that is not a discipline problem. It is who is driving your life. It is an identity issue. This is where the driver swap mechanism comes in. The old identity is currently at the steering wheel. He is driving essentially on autopilot, that flow state you enter when you're driving, just heading towards a desired destination that you think you've programmed, but in reality, it's just on autopilot driving there. And you think you're at the wheel, but you're not actually in control. And when we create this driver swap for your life, it's all about uprooting the existing identity who's running the show, taking what we can from him, putting him to the side for the next 90 days, and implementing the best version of you, implementing the 10 out of 10 version of you, who knows exactly what he wants, who he wants, why he's doing this in the first place, and when is he going to achieve this stuff by. You change who's driving, and your standards start running on autopilot as the new identity, as the new version of you. And it isn't far away like you think. This is really the bridge from who you used to be to who you're wanting to become. The higher ticket founder selling more. You're the businessman who's making more revenue than he's ever believed. You're the guy who's dropped 15, 20 pounds of weight and feeling more fresh and confident in yourself. You're the one who can look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of the identity staring back at him because he's done the internal work and it's showing in an external result. And you're being rewarded in public for the work you've been doing in private on yourself. This is what I want people to achieve through an identity shift. And this is what happens when you implement the driver swap mechanism into your life. If any of this hit home for you, if any of this hits something in you, the line I live by is simple. If you're capable of a 10, but you're still living like a 6, but calling it busy, if that's you, commit and comment the number 10 below this video or send me that word. I do this with men full time now. So if you're tired of feeling like a 6, but on the outside looking like a 10, I'm here to help you take your identity and internal work to the next level. Hit the subscribe button if you liked the video today and comment down below if you could relate to what we went over in this video today. And if you're ready to take things to the next level, message me on Instagram, DM me the word identity, and we'll see if we're a good fit to work together. Peace. All love to you guys.